War brings out the very best in technological innovation. Humans have shown themselves to be remarkably adept in devising new, creative ways to kill each other. Well, in today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the world's weirdest weapons ever created. So without further ado, let's hop into the video. Quantum stealth. Remember the movie Predator? Remember how the Predator was able to use invisible stealth technology to blend into the jungle environment around him? And how when he moved, it looked like the jungle itself was moving? Well, that technology is now with the US military. Called quantum stealth, this technology hides people by bending light around the object it is hiding. And the result is that people and objects literally turn invisible to the naked eye. The images of quantum stealth available on the internet are downright freaky. The hope is that the invisible cloaks will enable soldiers to infiltrate enemy territory without being detected, as well as launch surprise attacks and carry out assassinations. Sounds pretty far-fetched, but the future is here, and this technology is real. German Ball Tank. Called the Kugelpanzer or Rollzug, this incredible war machine was, believe it or not, actually a real piece of military hardware once upon a time. Its name means roughly spherical or ball tank, and it was designed as a one-person armored vehicle by the Germans sometime during or before the Second World War. Little is known about this enigmatic war machine, but one surviving example can be found in Russia. What is known is that the tank was built by the German Krupp company and was apparently designed as a scouting vehicle armed with a single 7.62mm machine gun. Its armor is pretty thin, around 0.1 inches thick, so it was unlikely to have been intended as an offensive armored fighting vehicle. Propulsion was provided by the tank's rotating hemispheres on either side of the ball, and was powered by a single-cylinder, two-stroke engine. Meet the Vespa 150 Tab. Another of the most bizarre weapons of all time is the Vespa 150 Tab, a modified Vespa bike. This military tech was intended for use as an anti-tank gun platform for use by French paratroopers. The vehicle was first introduced in the mid-1950s and was built by Atelier de Construction de Motocycles et Automobiles under license from the Vespa company. Each vehicle came equipped with a single US M20 75mm recoilless rifle that was able to fire rounds that could penetrate 3 15/16 of an inch, or 100mm of armor. The idea behind the scooter was for it to be dropped in with paratroopers during operations to provide heavy support. Obviously, the scooter platform is not the most practical of solutions for the gun, so it would be dismounted and remounted on a Browning machine gun tripod when actually fired. The Germans actually developed exploding mini RC tanks. Did you know that the Germans actually developed remote-controlled explosive mini tanks during the Second World War? Called Leichter Landungskrager Goliath Light Charge Carrier, these diminutive tracked explosive devices could be controlled using a joystick and thousands of feet of cable. Each unit was powered by either twin electrical motors or small petrol engines and could carry a payload of somewhere in the region of between 130 pounds and 220 pounds of high explosive. The idea behind the mini tanks was to sneak them underneath Allied tanks during combat and then detonate them once in position. They could also be employed to disrupt enemy infantry formations or demolish buildings and bridges. A great idea on paper. The early models tended to suffer from cord cutting during the actual conflict. Meet Chrysler's nuclear-powered tank. On the subject of strange tanks, this bizarre war machine is actually something else. Designed to be powered by an actual nuclear reactor, it also incorporated CCTV to provide the crew with all-around visibility. While an interesting concept, the tank was never actually realized. Yes, we are very disappointed too. The odd-looking oversized turret would house the tank's entire crew, as well as its ammunition stores, power systems, etc. It also doubled as a sort of flotation device to enable the tank to be amphibious. If ever built, the TV-8 would have been equipped with one 90mm T209 smoothbore main gun, two manual 30 caliber machine guns, as well as a remote-controlled 50 caliber mounted on top of the pod. If it had ever gone into production, it would have weighed in at around 25 tons. Have you heard about the rods from God? Project Thor, also known as the Rods from God, is another of military history's weirdest and more than slightly disconcerting weapons of war. The idea was to place several large pure tungsten rods inside a satellite platform that could literally rain down destruction onto Earth at will. The rods would each be roughly the size of a telephone pole and were an example of a theoretical mass destruction technique called orbital kinetic bombardment. Such projectiles would be nigh on impossible to defend against, given their speed, angle of attack, and small radar signature. By taking advantage of the enormous momentum built up by the falling masses of tungsten, the devastation planet-side would be equivalent to a nuclear bomb going off, except without all that pesky radioactive fallout. Conceived at the height of the Cold War, the weapon is typically depicted as a cylindrical magazine containing the rods with some form of a directional thruster to maneuver the platform. As far as anyone knows, the concept never left the drawing board. Robot Dog. While dogs are routinely used in war for tasks like bomb sniffing, the military has also taken inspiration from Fido to build robots. Enter the Big Dog, a robotic creature built by the company Boston Dynamics. The large, rough-terrain robot shambles slowly up rocky terrain while carrying heavy loads, and is currently being tested in Afghanistan. The robotic beast sounds like a swarm of bees, and its mincing gait makes it look more like a show poodle than a truly large dog, meaning it's probably not all that stealthy or fast. But the goal of 109 kilograms isn't to be quiet or quick. It's to carry about 10 to 45 kilograms, so troops don't have to shoulder their own loads. The Rebondiquin was actually built and used in anger. Also known as the Rebald Infernal Gun or Organ Gun, the Rebondiquin is another of the strangest weapons of war ever used. Developed during the later medieval period, this multi-barreled volley gun was actually used in combat during the 14th and 15th centuries. According to historical records, the first one was used in anger by the King Edward III of England in 1339 during the 100 Years' War against the French. The weapon had around 12 barrels, which, funnily enough, was able to fire 5 volleys of 12 small-caliber rounds in a single firing. Later examples were used by Milan during the Italian Wars, and they also appeared during the English War of the Roses. Soviet Echelon Plan, the flying boat. Unlike a couple of the other crazy superweapons that made it to this list, the Echelon Plan was actually built by the Soviet Union. Faster than any ship and bigger than any plane, the flying boat could carry anything from troops to cargo to nuclear weapons, all at a crazy speed, and just 13 feet off the ground. Its engines were some of the most advanced of the time, each producing thrust equal to the F-35's engines. It could carry some 2 million pounds, flying low over water to evade detection, moving small, portable D-Day invasions across the globe. Luckily, only one was ever built, and the Soviets lost the Cold War anyway. Shure Gustav. Developed by Germany to destroy French forts on the Maginot Line, the giant cannon Shure Gustav was the largest piece of artillery ever used in combat, a massive railroad gun that could theoretically be brought to wherever it was needed. It could fling an 8-ton shell over 37,000 meters. It also required a crew of 2,500 men to set up, could only fire 14 shells a day, and took 45 minutes to reload. That wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay notified about our uploads. I'll see you next time. Till then, peace out.